In terms of the game, you've already sort of mentioned it, Henry. You think Chelsea are gonna step up and do it this weekend and beat Man City? Yep. Does anybody else share that view? Dio, who do you see winning the semi-final this weekend?
It's a tough one to call. I'm going to call it based on just current form. I think Chelsea can actually hold them up to penalties and do the business. But if City score first, it's over. I think if City scores first, it's.
I don't think they score. I don't think
that's well, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying, if the way they are right now, because City is like a wounded dog. They're favorites to win the Champions League. Madrid took them out on penalties. They played poorly in penalties. They played very well during the game, but didn't finish. That's like a 100-meter race, and you get to the finish line and stop before the finish line, and you don't cross the ribbon. That's what City did yesterday, And Madrid just came and just crossed the ribbon, boom, and they won it. So that can be very demoralizing. I totally get that, but it is still City and it's still Pep. And the reason I said if they score first, Chelsea this season has showed me inconsistencies. They're playing well now, but Chelsea has been inconsistent. You don't know what Chelsea will show up. I remember the game against, I think it was Burnley, when we were here on the show, and I said Burnley will beat Chelsea, and everybody laughed at me. But Burnley went up and played 2-2 with Chelsea, because I was like, I don't know which Chelsea is going to turn up this weekend.
That sort of thing, though, it doesn't suit Chelsea. City will come out and leave space in behind, and their defense is nowhere near the level it's been in recent years.
I totally agree, but I'm just saying, like, we don't know what Chelsea will show up. It's the problem. Like, we've seen Chelsea, like, teams give them that amount of space and they do nothing with it. We've seen Chelsea actually do something with it in other games. So which Chelsea is going to show up? There's no consistency with Chelsea for me to be like, okay, this weekend Chelsea is going to really, really step up. And that's my thing with Chelsea, the inconsistencies. One week they're playing well, the next week they're losing a game, the next week they're drawing. We don't know if Pochettino is going to decide this time around, I want to play Endo in left back. Pochettino is a madman. We've seen him just set up in crazy ways. So that's where I worry for Chelsea, or let me just say that's what my thing is with Chelsea. We know Pep is going to set the team up the way he always sets it up and make his changes the way he's going, because we know Pep's style. Will Chelsea set up properly? If they do, they can beat City. But I think City's going to win. I think City wins this one. That's what I think. Based off of of these factors. That's it.
You don't agree, Gal?
No, I think City win, but they blow them out. Just Chelsea team. Yes, they're playing well. They gain a little confidence, but the gap in quality, the gap in sheer ability, the gap in cohesiveness and continuity between the players is just all on City's side. I think what we're doing is we're looking at them going up against a Real Madrid team midweek, and we're maybe now thinking that they have a chance off the back of that loss. But no, I still think City are major favorites, and I wouldn't be surprised if they slapped them the same way Liverpool did earlier in the season when they beat them 4-1. Yeah, I wouldn't be convinced.
That's the only game against the big six teams where Chelsea have been absolutely slapped. Like they should have beaten Arsenal at home. They absolutely destroyed us. Right? That they've got a draw home and away against City so far, and I know City have got an unbelievable squad. They've just played 120 minutes and lost in a penalty shootout. Whereas Chelsea, Cole Palmer is in the form of his life, going up against his old team, where there will be so much space in behind because of the way Man City play. It's perfect for the way Chelsea are one of the best counter-attacking teams in the league. It's a perfect matchup for them.
Chelsea are not the best at anything. They're very
good on the counter.
They're very wasteful in attack. Let's be honest. They played well in the last couple games. Don't let the Everton game, don't let the game against Manchester United, don't let the game against Leicester, these recent results fool you guys and cloud your judgment. This Chelsea team is still the same Chelsea team we've seen this whole entire season. They're hot and cold. If they get hot against City, maybe they can have a better performance than I think. But in my opinion, on the big stage, they don't have the experience, and they're not City. City's going to wipe their floor with them.
But City and Chelsea this year have been 2 draws. That's the key thing. Chelsea this year have lost. Is it 1 game against the top 6? It might be 2. Sorry, United and Liverpool.
Yeah,
they're the only 2 games they lost. This Chelsea side is set up to play better teams than them. Their issue has not been the big 6. Their issue this year has been the low end teams that make them have to play the game. Chelsea benefit more when they can sit back and they can have a defensive structure and they just need to hit on the counter-attack. Do I think Chelsea go through? No. But I can see Chelsea taking them to extra time. 100%.
And if it goes extra time, that's another 120 minutes on these players' legs.
Exactly.
And I think Chelsea in a penalty shootout beat them. Like,
No, of course.
them penalties, man. Like, what is Bernardo Silva doing? Like, that is one of the worst penalties I've ever seen in my life.
He's always played his penalties that way, though. Like, he's always like, if you go back and look for any of his old clips, anytime he's played a penalty, because most goalkeepers will dive. Like, do you know how hard it is as a goalie in penalty to just stand there and not move? Because if the ball just goes in, you look stupid. Like, if you just imagine the goalie. So most goalkeepers will dive. So going down, like, that's just, it's a stupid penalty, you're right, but it's him thinking this guy's going to go left or right. And so I'm just going to, dink it down. But based on this Chelsea and Man City game thing, I still think that because you're right, Henry, 120 minutes, they've just come from a long game. They lost again in that game. Morales might be down. But we know City are mentality monsters. We know that for a fact. If they're not getting the treble, they're probably looking for a double now, right? Okay, so let's give them that because they've done it in the past. My problem, like I said, with Chelsea, the scary part for me is how is Pochettino going to set up? Even though Chelsea is set up to play bigger teams and better teams than themselves, how is Pochettino going to set up? And which Chelsea is showing up? Because there's just that sense that Chelsea are flip-flops in the way they show up. They have talent in the team, don't get me wrong. And the big talk about Cole Palmer is an amazing, amazing player. The only reason he's standing out even more is because he's in a terrible Chelsea team. Everybody around him looks horrible. So it even makes him look way better. No. They look horrible compared to him. No, compared to him. Compared to him, though. Like
they're not terrible players. He's just
he's delivered though, Dio, but he's also delivered.
That's what I said, Terry. I said he's delivered. He's a good player. I'm not putting him down. I'm saying he even looks big, like he's delivered, and it looks like he's delivered even way more because the other guys around him are not carrying anything. And that for me,
he's also got
the internet said stop.
Cole Palmer's also like a player who, like, he's delivered in big games for City as well. He was the guy who got the equaliser in the Super Cup, which then Man City won on penalties. Like,
scored the opener in the Community Shield as well.
Yeah, Cole Palmer is a big game player.
Yeah, he is. I'm just saying, like, I'm saying he even looks a bigger game player. He's a big game player who looks bigger than that again because of the people around him. Like, if he was in a team where he had like a Jude Bellingham or guys that are around him, bruh, they would be balling out. Like, you would.
Did you not think if he was in that Man City team, considering they're struggling with wide players right now,
he would be amazing. He would be amazing, and City would go a notch higher. I totally agree with you. I'm just saying he's the only person carrying water for Chelsea right now. And if Pochettino sets them up wrongly against City, they're going to have to rely on him solely to bring that magic. Is what I'm saying.
I understand that. Kate, how do you see this semi-final going?
So I was just looking. I just saw someone say that Villa were losing 1-0. I think it will be a tight game, but I think Pep won't let them rest on their laurels, and I think they'll get it done in 90 minutes, 2-1, something like that. I think it'll be tight, but I do think City will go through. And I'd just like to also add, I think Coventry will take Man United to extra time.
You reckon?
I do. I hope, and I do.
Thanks. I'm
also the case. But I hope Coventry win.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody wants. If anybody other than Man United fans, if anybody doesn't want Coventry to win, I don't think you're a fan of football. You should always want, generally speaking, you should always want the underdog to win in the FA Cup. Do
you play before or after the City Chelsea game?
After. We play on the Sunday.
Okay, so say if Chelsea win, obviously I wouldn't want Coventry to win.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
I think that could be a worse matchup for Chelsea because Chelsea would actually have to attack them.
Yeah, it'd be another low block
to play the game.
I will say this now: Man United versus Chelsea as a final would be an amazing game for a neutral to watch because it will just be an end-to-end, but like the league game, it will just be a basketball match for 90 minutes. So for you lot, other than me, it'll be the better game. But no, I have not been confident about a Man United game for a long time. We will beat Coventry. I'm not saying we'll beat them in style. I'm not saying we'll smash them. I'm not saying they've not got a chance. We will beat them, but it will be Like we will scrape over that line, and it will be like a 98th minute winner coming off Maguire's bum from a corner, and we'll win it 2-1, and we'll celebrate shamelessly. Like that's how we win that game, in my opinion. But listen, stranger things have happened, and if Man United were to be knocked out by them, this is a team, by the way, that's lost their last 2, lost 3 of their last 4.
He should be sacked that night.
League games. Yeah. If he gets knocked out by them, it shouldn't happen. I was just looking at the league table in the Championship. 8th in the Championship, right? Which means they're nowhere near promotion. Most of the promoted teams get relegated straight away. So you're talking about a team that genuinely is worse than Burnley, worse than Sheffield United. We shouldn't be getting beat by them.
The magic of the cup, though. Like we're gonna beat Man City once. I want to just quickly
it does happen. It does happen.
I want to throw that in quickly. If Pochettino reaches the FA Cup this season, and Chelsea are only 3 points off of Man United and 3 points off of Newcastle, if Chelsea win the FA Cup hypothetically and were to finish 6th, what would you give Pochettino in his first season out of 10, considering he would have made 2 finals, won an FA Cup, and got in the Europa League, considering only 3 months ago they were 14th or whatever it was?
I'll give him a round of applause and say you have done a miracle based on where you were earlier.
They're only 3 points off of 6th figure, and they've got 2 games in hand over West Ham.
But look at how many injuries they've had. Look at how low their morale was, the lack of continuity throughout the team, how many young players he had throughout the whole team. You changed the whole spine of your team. If Chelsea win a trophy this season alone, I'll give it to Poch, and I'll say, you know what, congratulations, good, big up to you.
Out of 10,
I don't think they're going to get
out of 10, I'll give him a solid 8 if he does that, because that Chelsea team this season, honestly speaking, nobody expected that from them. And from Pochettino himself, everybody's written him off. Literally, they've called him all kinds of failures already without the season being over. Now, of course, I will banter and I'll dunk on Chelsea because, they're a London club and I don't like them as well. But if we were just going to talk based on performances alone and achievements, if Poch gets to the final of the FA Cup and wins the FA Cup and gets the 6th position, gets them into Europe, I think for the loop that he was thrown, which is a bunch of new players, young players, trying to fit them together, backroom staff, the whole new ownership and all that, for that loop, he's done well. I think he's done well.
Forget about 6. Forget about 6. He wins the FA Cup. They're in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Just that alone, give him credit.
Yeah,
I don't know if they can be, because they'll probably breach the new FFP of the UEFA, but that's another bridge, another cross. David, we're just rounding this bit up now on Chelsea versus City, but few people on the panel, including Henry Wright, think Chelsea will do it this weekend. Do you have an element of confidence in your team?
Styles make fights, and I just think the style we play just suits playing Man City. So I think it will be a close game. I still think City will beat us because they're Man City and we're Chelsea. We don't know what Chelsea's going to show up. But even still, both games we played this year have been 1-1. So and in those games, the first game was 4-4. The second game was 1-1. Arguably, we very easily could have won both games, very easily, if we had just taken our chances. And I'm not saying we are starting to take our chances, but in the past couple of games,
you're starting to take your chances.
We're starting to take our chances. So it's whether it's an improvement or it's just it's young players having their up stint, and then we might go into a bit of a down period of not finishing our chances. We don't know. But Styles make fights, and I just think the Styles will make for a good game.
Can you say Chelsea are taking the chances, or can you say Cole Palmer's taking the chances? And
not even
everyone's
clowning Jackson, bro. He's got. If you look at his season, if you look at the numbers, he's doing well, and his performances ever since he came back from AFCON have got so much better. He's really good at holding up the ball, really good at getting other people in the game, and if he's not getting the ball, he will drop in and find the ball. He's
seven goals and assists in his last 10 games. It's not bad for it's not bad. I mean, it's there. Listen, I want Chelsea to win, and that's because I'm hopeful Man United will get through, and I don't want City in the final. Man United City final, I honestly believe it's going only one way. Against Chelsea, we've got a genuine chance of winning it. Same as Chelsea have got a genuine chance of winning it. I just don't want them in the final again, because that's just too much pain to handle. Plus, there we go.